I forget who's in charge.
Behave yourself. Mom's in charge.
All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. First order of business is to look at the minutes from our previous meeting,
July 20th.
July 20th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Second, July 20th.
All those in favor? And do we have minutes from the
Can
22nd?
you sign that?
No.
No. Those will get when Jane gets back from vacation.
Okay. All right, then next, do we have any non-public? We did not.
We didn't have non-public.
Okay, so the
correct?
next thing is the employee COVID-19 policies.
Yes, could you take a look at that? I don't, if you want to vote tonight, that's fine. And I didn't write these from scratch. I stole them from several towns that put them in place.
Yeah.
What this is, it covers, the main thing is, it's advising employees on restricting travel for training, but also that should they decide to take a vacation out of state, and I mean not just a day trip, but a vacation, that we may, and I emphasize the word may, that I may require 2-week quarantine upon their return. And that would be done with the use of sick leave or vacation, but I want them to know that up front, given the state of the world. So that's, you might want to take time to read it, but that seems to be what my counterparts around the state are. This is pretty much comes from Primex, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'd like to have that in place sooner than later. Some towns are mandating it. I use the word may to give me flexibility.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Just a quick question, if I could.
Well, I get
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it, say for example, their parent is ill or something and they leave and it's in Massachusetts or a different state, doesn't matter, any state, does that apply also?
I would say yes, but again, I've got the flexibility to take it case by case.
Okay, good.
But
That's what I was
I'm really,
all right.
most of us are really looking at travel to hotspots in the States and outside the States. Right now, in the States is the hotspot, but so case by case. I've got one employee who is still traveling to Vermont for 2 days at a time, dealing with her parents' estate. She stays at the house. She doesn't travel around much, so it's kind of, it lets me evaluate each request.
She's officially quarantined there when she's there.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's what I left it that way. The man, you will mandate it, and it was a little tight, but you know, a cruise, if you can even find a cruise ship that leaves, would be an example of that would be mandatory upon return. But I don't think any ships are sailing, so that's a problem. But it gives me the flexibility during this, you know, and we can relook at. Obviously, this would become mute if we ever get out of a state of emergency.
Yeah, there's no ending time to this.
I am saying tonight, I did not put it in there, but
We
it
don't-
wouldn't be, it would become mute once COVID-19.
But we would have to vote to rescind this when that takes place.
I would bring it back in
Yeah.
for rescinding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a modification vote, or, yeah, so.
I'll make a motion that we approve the employee COVID-19 policies in town of Lincoln. as presented.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. These are drafts. We have a hard copy for us
Yeah,
next week.
I'll give, well, it says draft, I'll get a clean one for you, but can I make it effective?
It's effective.
It's
Okay.
effective
Right.
now. We just
I'll-
voted
we'll
on
have
it.
one. Out for you to sign before. the-
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good. All right, town managers report.
Okay, just quickly, we're actively working on the town Wi-Fi internet issue. I'm in discussions with Spectrum now to get fiber optic into the building. We've also started conversation with them about, they want to bundle phones and everything, and I've always, so I brought in Statewide, who is our current phone provider, which is up in January. So I've got the two competing against each other to do the whole thing at once. But like right now, my internet connection's unstable. We can get fiber optic in here, that'll go away. And I think with our current thing, so that's in the works. The security detail at the swimming hole started this weekend, and I would like either the deputy or the chief to just fill you in on how that went.
Deputy?
I put the details out. It was last minute. Not a lot of people were able to take it. Sergeant Stevens took one. I took the other. We did them from 10 in the morning to 7 at night. That was the bulk of the beach going
Is that intermittent? You weren't there all day, were you?
all day.
Oh, my goodness.
It was a long day.
But 3 places, they're doing all 3 of our.
So
Oh, gotcha, okay.
what we did is and Sergeant Stevens did the same thing. We went from, after we signed on, we started going swimming area, but that doesn't mean just roll by. It's park, get out, walk, look, smell, listen. And what I found is it took me about, depending on the volume of people, an hour to go from one through all of them, including walking, talking, and radioing in what I'm doing. The volume was very high. I'm guessing in the neighborhood of 100 at Old Hole and Ladies Bathtub.
Each place.
Each place. The garbage started picking up at Fay Wayside on Sunday. And then I remember we had a discussion that Public Works are going to follow up Mondays to clean it up. But I made a mental note of it to see, well, that's the state portion. And I looked for the sign about carry in, carry out. And their sign is on a post knocked backwards. And it looked like it's broken half off. So I think it's going to be a phone call to help us with that. I haven't done it yet, but that's on the to-do list this week. We had a bunch of parking issues up and down 112. They put some more parking signs from the downhill slope going towards coming out of town, going towards Loon, just before the entrance. They had about 50 or 100 yards worth before the guardrails. It was no posted, no signs. But now they started backing further up the hill to where it was, quote, not posted, and they started parking there. We shooed people along. The only ones that actually got tickets from me were the ones that lined up where we park our cruisers for Highland Games opposite Loon Bridge. There was probably a dozen, 15 cars there. And I rolled by, and there was a large group in the kind of picnic area where there was 3 or 4 families at least. And it says no access to the beach. Well, where do you think they were? They were down at the beach. So I rolled up, slowed down, parked behind there, let them scurry across, grab their cars, and take off. The ones that didn't move, each got a ticket. And I was looking for heartburn this morning, so contesting it, complaining about it, whatever, and see any. So hopefully they took their medicine and they won't do that anymore. Finally, I'd like to add that Aaron McCauley was working his maintenance duties for kind of the condo association there. And he told me when I was out there that they detailed him just to be in this area for the day. And he was there for a good portion, not as long as I was, but a good portion of the day. And because of our tag teaming this event, the circle at Ladies Bathtub, the biggest problem is right around the inside of the circle. And then anywhere there isn't a sign, they'll tuck a car in. We kind of chased them away most of the day, and as problems cropped up, he was there to put his thumb on them. And then I said, please don't confront anybody if you have any heartburn, call me and I'll come back. He already has my cell phone. We additionally put up cones and we made a lot full sign, and that seemed to slow it down.
Oh, good.
So I think we'll try that again next week. And if it does work, maybe we'll get something a little more sturdy. I just made it out of word processor, but they got the message. Don't try and find a spot.
Right.
It's full.
It's full.
Just stop going there.
Yeah.
It seemed to work. Most of the people were well behaved. They were huge groups. The one time someone brought a big radio speaker, and I could hear it from 112 from the bathtub. I turned down just a little bit, and there was no problem. Didn't give me any static. Turned it down, and I never heard back from them again. So other than extreme volume, no misbehavior. And then I was concerned about the garbage because that's what Woodstock was doing or struggling with, and we didn't have a lot of that. What I am concerned about as we do displace people by enforcing the parking is the trespassing. I listened on the radio. The Woodstock officer was responding to trespassing calls a good chunk of their day. And if she wasn't working at the hole itself, she was going to the neighboring houses where people were cutting through and causing heartburn. So we'll have to do with it as best we can. We kept it friendly for the most part, and people received it fairly well. And the homeowners that were in the area, they liked the idea. So I think it was pretty good.
I'm sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm hearing from my cohorts around the state that haven't just about everywhere, but the people, if there's a body of water and a road, they're parking anywhere on the road they can, and they're going straight through the wood just to get to the water without any regard for, and so it's not just us. That's
Everywhere.
the phenomenon that we're in right now, so. Yeah.
Is this an okay time to ask you questions about the information you sent us?
Sure can.
I was looking at this and I looked at section 21:20, 271:20.
Yep.
That it says that it's a public area if we have 10 acres or more of land.
The only reason I put that in there is because the statute that did reference it
Yes.
referenced that same site. So
Perfect.
I didn't want to have it referenced without you looking at it.
Right.
I think if it's designated state or public, that's when it applies to everybody. And this just the 271:20 is no one can incorporate it. No one can put a business there and take over the land so people can't swim anymore. That's the short version of that.
Perfect, thank you. When I looked up municipality, we're actually subdivisions of the state. So I'm thinking, oh no, okay, we have to follow that. But then I looked down and said, we don't have 10 acres. I don't even think the levee's 10 acres. As far as,
It's the body of water. though,
body of
correct?
water.
Yes.
Yeah, and that body of water
Does not-
definitely encompasses
Oh,
more
yeah.
than, the whole body of water
Oh, okay,
encompasses
the
more
levee.
than.
So yeah, is that the acreage referring to the body of water?
Whether it's
Yes.
considered
Yes,
public or
the
not,
river
it has to be
itself.
10.
The river
Acres.
itself is more than 10 acres.
Oh, God.
It says, all national bodies of freshwater entirely, state having an area of 10 acres or more are state-owned public waters.
Those are,
So it says 10 acres or more are state-owned public waters.
Right. It's not a private river. It's not like a seasonal river. It's
Right.
not a pond.
That
It's-
river
it-
is state.
it's
of
public.
it's a
Illinois.
state public
It's a
body of
state.
water.
So
it's a
that's why you
public-
can't keep people out of the
Right.
river.
But ladies bathtub also?
Yes,
That
that's
river-
part of the river,
that-
which is
that
greater
river.
than 10
The
acres.
only thing you have any control over, and it's minimal, is
The
the
land
access
around
to
it.
that
The
river,
parking.
The parking,
the parking, or
Okay.
and the land down to the mean high water mark. Okay, once they're into the
Got
river,
it.
then
Right.
they're on.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yep,
I
public
was
land.
like, all right, it's not public.
so your detail is just weekends right now?
Yes, we'll send officers like throughout the day. We'll have them go there, but we don't have nearly the numbers, nearly.
Right.
And then they're quick to call during the week if there's any issues. There's noise, there's parking issues. We get calls quickly, so. But
Good, good.
it's not the designated enforcement that we do on the weekends.
I mean, we can mix it up, but right now, we're lucky, we can find officers to do the details.
Sure.
A couple days a week for the next 3 or 4 weeks.
It should settle down eventually.
I think after Labor Day,
We did it for 4 weeks, and if it's still, the numbers are still up there, then we'll probably continue it a little longer.
Right, right.
That's what we're doing for now.
Well, thank you very much.
Mhm.
No problem.
Thank you.
Was it busy right up until you left at 7?
Well, it slowed down, but it was not empty at 7, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
There were still cars there. And
Okay.
actually, Ladies Beth, the old hole was getting a lot of foot traffic from Alpine, not the Nordic.
In order to get,
I saw families of 6, 7, 8 crossing the street.
sure.
So they were still going. And what they did is they went home, had something to eat. Okay, now it's time to go cool down. That's what happened.
And at Ladies Bathtub, what was your sense of New Hampshire plates versus non-New Hampshire plates on the vehicles parked there?
Probably 3 to 1 not. New Hampshire.
What's the status on signing?
So there were
Signs
some
been ordered?
Yes, there were.
Signs are, yeah.
Wait, I didn't hear Jane's question.
Yeah, I said, so there were some New Hampshire.
There were
folks
some.
there.
So the signage that we need there, I think we've got up.
I think we do for now. And then when we discuss this topic of permitting, that's a whole nother project.
Yeah, there's-
But we can
Is
do
it-
that
is it
whenever you want.
Signed, Lincoln Woodstock residents and taxpayers parking only?
No,
No, it's just,
it's,
no parking. Do you have that in the middle area, the middle?
Yes.
Island area?
Yeah, no, it is not.
Yeah.
There's a sign in the middle that says, I believe it says, the swimming is for
yes,
Lincoln residents and homeowners
yes.
That's what it
Sign,
says.
Yes.
on the sign, because there is documentation that it was given to Lincoln residents, or at the time.
But the enforcement of that is where we get into dicey situation because we can't restrict who goes in. We can only
Correct.
restrict who parks there.
Parks there.
Exactly.
Want to see the sign? The chief had some. We
Sure.
were looking at it earlier.
The one that's posted down there,
Okay,
It's quite large.
I've seen that.
and it's for the enjoyment of the homeowners and residents of Lincoln and North Woodstock.
North Woodstock,
And
Hmm.
Woodstock
not
as
South
well.
Woodstock.
Lower Woodstock.
Oh.
I want you controlling that.
Jimmy Fenn's gonna be rolling over in his grave. That's Woodstock.
I live in South Woodstock.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, he lives in North Lincoln, so that's fine.
That's right.
Oh,
Anything
No, it is
else?
North Lincoln up there, so nothing, no.
It's all Lincoln and it's all Woodstock.
so we'll keep a running tally of how things are going.
Check back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The CIP meeting notices went out this week, hopefully, we'll probably start, but it's that, put the schedule out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the first organization meeting will be on August 11th. And
And that's with the CIP, the
the
CIP
committee to
committee?
just get organized.
And are we doing that here?
Yeah, but
I think we need to.
we need to do it here instead of at the library.
In
Yeah.
your space.
I mean, the library's a nice little space, but we
Given
can't,
us-
we
no,
can't
spread out.
spread out, so.
Okay, and an update on the Riverfront Park.
Yes,
The in-depth survey of the Burndy site was done last Thursday or Friday, maybe
Yeah.
both by Horizons, because they never did a topo.
Yeah.
So that's, Nate took a chainsaw and cut a path into the old gate, and they cut the place open so that Horizons could, and so that's been done, and the DES wants to see a topo. They will tell the cuts and fills that would need to be done, which will dictate how much excavation's gotta be done on that site to put a parking lot in. And that's, will trigger what our requirements are gonna be, so.
It was a,
So they're not gonna simply accept it in its configuration, because when it closed it, there was never a topo survey done of the property.
how are we gonna determine the extent of the
My guess-
parking site?
My guess is they're gonna make us do borings on the Burndy site,
They're gonna do what?
borings. And then they'll analyze the soil and tell us what we need to do. That's my guess.
Okay,
That's
but
Ray's guess too. And then the site's already up. I think you can hold almost 200 cars on that site if you want. That's already done it conceptually. So now we're at the point of,
when you say it can hold 200 cars without bringing fill into the,
well, that's my opinion, but they're already telling us that they
Okay.
will not accept the topography the way it is.
I just wanna make sure as we go forward that we don't say we want this and then they try to spend a whole bunch of money to make that happen, as much as we say, we wanna park cars there.
They told.
Right, and if it's 30, it's 30. If it's 50, it's 50. But I don't want to plan or have the engineers plan, about, we're going to need all this money to fill in land.
Well, the conceptual plan that went to DES used the entire site, and I think it was close to 200 cars.
The
Do you
entire
have that?
Burndy site?
Yep.
Okay, but not going down into
New,
the
that's up in Burndy.
low area. Okay,
Do
okay.
you
Now,
have
which
a
is-
copy of that conceptual plan? Or is it
You
digital?
guys should have it too.
No.
Yeah, it was,
I never saw it.
it went out to everybody a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah, no,
The original one, but not the one that says it.
One for Bernie, included parking on Bernie. There was 2 concepts that went up. The same one went forward to DES.
oh, I didn't see the,
Yeah, no, me neither.
Okay, so anyway,
Alright,
so,
but the engineering of the
so the parking
testing is,
replaces the parking that was going to be down below, is gonna be replaced up on top.
okay,
That's what we went forward with, that's what I thought. you
Now, we
wanted.
had nothing up above before, other than
There
we were
was-
gonna burn it.
There was a conceptual plan, parking both places, we chose the one down below. So they're just
Better
replicating
access.
that up now at the Bernie site and
Okay.
abandoning down below, and that's what we're proceeding on.
okay.
Unless you
No.
want to change it.
No, I don't want to change it, I just want to make
I
sure
wanna
that, the-
see it on paper before we say yes, no, or maybe. The reason why we were burning
But what are we
that
saying, yes, no, or maybe to?
to,
Yeah, I-
even
until
if
we know.
DES comes back and says, oh yeah, you can put all the cars you want there, it lays right hard to the dump. You have a parking lot and then a great view of the
Well,
dump.
obviously we can cut back.
We were
but
putting the berm there to hide all that. So
then
it's
maybe
not
the berm can
just,
stay. I don't know. I mean, we've switched streams here. So we can be specific, and that can be good, or that can be bad. I'm just saying.
yeah, I don't want to be specific.
Okay, so Tammy wants to be
Right.
specific.
I
You
I don't want to be
We need a third
specific, and I want to let them say, in what,
I'm just saying, I don't
what
want to be.
area can we have a
difficult.
parking lot without filling or digging or
We can,
spending,
but
Tons of
tiptoe
money.
through, we got to,
well, all we're really
We
doing
just gotta
is spending
evaluate
money.
the site.
All we're just throwing money at engineers to do,
it's a
Figure
tough,
things
it's a
out.
site that needs money thrown at for engineers. I think we'll all
I
agree.
wish we had known that $200,000 ago. Not your fault at all,
I know.
not at all. But it would have been nice if we knew that a couple $100,000.
So I think what the directions I've given is to concentrate on that site for parking. 2 cars to 200, okay? Suggestion was, well, let's evaluate the site, and then we can always reel back to put a berm in, or, because they'll be happy, you know. But the loading, the car loading on that property is the trigger.
okay,
Whether it's 2 cars, there's the hydraulic loading of parking that many cars is a concern on a brownfields, okay? It's not a health thing, it's just years and years of burying whatever the heck they buried there, and it's got a clean bill of health, but it wasn't done to the point where we want to park on it, so it
Does
shouldn't
that
take long for this to go through its process, and we can move forward or not. I
The
mean, that-
original parking area, it was 97 cars, I think, was it what the plan was for, 90-something cars. Was that what triggered, was it the loading of, I guess
You
what I'm asking
can't-
is, if it was designed for 30 cars, would that have worked?
No.
No, okay,
The site down below
right,
is, it's spongy.
right.
So we need, for cars. Okay, so that's the moving of the parking lot. It seemed to be the trick.
Gotcha.
It didn't seem to be.
The
a
amount
rush.
of cars didn't matter,
No,
okay.
you weren't gonna even park 2 in that site without some major excavation
infill.
Okay.
and fill. And, yeah, so that's a given. So it's a hiccup. It is, it's slowing the project up, and it, you know, we are spending, I got it. I know,
Frustrating.
I got it.
Well, they had agreed, did you see, you must have saw this as a relic, but they had already looked at that and they were gonna close it over, cap it, to remove the deposit materials from the site. They talked about things that had been deposited.
Back in the
already
day,
saying,
yeah.
Back in
What is,
90
who's they, and then what are you reading?
This. It's a draft of February 8th, 1999. The
Oh,
board
That was
had-
done.
It was capped.
That was done.
And given a clean bill of health.
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
But now it's a new use. There's no more, they don't take any more samples out of the
Right.
wells and stuff. So it's a new use now, and so they, DES, obviously said, oh, we're gonna show us, and we'll take a look at it. And that's where we're at. So anyway.
All right.
Just a quick levy update. We're, scheduled fall inspection of the levy by Army Corps of Engineers is for August 6th. And New Hampshire DES will be there. To that end, you've seen the drafts of the O&M manual, and it's
Yeah.
being reviewed. There's some things that attorneys are trying to correct, and you've seen that. So, but that's happening on the 6th.
Now,
And
is Public Works gonna either do or hire out?
they've
Clint.
already done this year. This year, they've done vegetation control
They did.
with over-the-counter herbicides, and it's worked.
Oh, wow.
Which they can use. It's not hazardous to people or waters, and that seems to work. So was hopefully the Corps and New Hampshire DES Dam Bureau will continue that.
Okay.
Nate is planning on sending himself and maybe one or two others to get licensed to apply herbicide in for the future, for decades to come, to keep vegetation off that levee.
It grew quickly.
Yeah, it doesn't, especially the sumac
I noticed that.
The sumac.
Yeah,
comes back like
really quick.
Yes,
gangbusters.
It is.
So that's a levy update. It's moving along. Denise Harradine, last week we took a letter from Denise, and she was requesting to, hers were involuntarily merged. There's a memo that we got back in 2019, we found in her file, I didn't realize existed, from Peter Meyer, of the opinion that
Yeah,
if Ms. Harradine wants to put it back to 2 lots, then she'd have to petition the Board of Selectmen to do that, and then she could proceed with getting the, a surveyor and filing plans and stuff, which the letter, I'm assuming, pretty sure was her request.
right, last week, she did that last week.
It would just simply be a vote of this board to approve that, and then
We
she
had
could
wanted
proceed.
You or somebody to just make it clear that, because in her letter, which I know I have her somewhere, and I'll find it.
I think Denise is here.
Oh, is she?
She
Oh,
is here.
I'm sorry.
She can speak
Hello
for
there.
herself.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, you had indicated that your intention is to get access off of Pleasant Street for that back lot.
Correct.
We can't give you that access,
Who's we?
the town of Lincoln. We do not have Pleasant Street stops prior to your land.
The school owns that property.
but-
Correct.
And we own the right of way over it.
Right.
So the school can't give it to you either, because we already have that right of way.
Where does it say that?
Why can't the school give it to you?
because-
Let's not be lawyers here, because I'm not sure that that's true.
We talked about this last week.
We
Did you
said that-
remember?
I do.
Yeah.
We have an easement over the school property.
Correct.
Okay,
We-
is it exclusive?
A right-of-way easement over it for a turnaround for emergency vehicles.
Okay,
I am waiting for a response from Judy McKay. And I spoke with her today.
Again,
okay, good.
again.
And I spoke with her today. And she's going to give me a response on that property as the school does own it.
Correct.
She said that she has had situations like that before, and it was the school's decision.
I think all we need to deal with as a board is these lots were involuntarily merged. And back in the day, I went through this process too.
sometime after 1946, between that and
Yeah.
2019, and I don't know when it happened.
Yeah, and the town did, I shouldn't say the town, but many towns did this, and that's why that state law was put in, because many towns did this.
Right.
And this gives the landowner the right to unmerge those, because they never asked for them to be merged, so
And the window for
it's still
landowners to
Yeah.
2021
Yeah.
March or something.
Right,
December.
So,
December 2021.
so she's within the right.
Absolutely.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we authorize the return of the lot, and I forget what the number is, but this lot to the 2 lots that originally existed.
Tax map 113, lot 103
Okay,
is the
113,
single lot.
103.
So I don't know what the second
To
number would be.
restore that to the 2 lots
So
as described.
I don't want the cart before the horse. I do want the lots unmerged, but I want to know that I'm able to access that land before, that street, before it happens.
Okay, okay.
Well,
Do you
can-
want us to wait on this
You can
vote?
you can give her permission, and if she chooses.
Well, we don't
not to
want
go.
it.
No.
she
Do you
doesn't.
want us to wait on this vote until after you've heard from the school, and then you can get back to us and let us know? Or do you want us to go ahead and unmerge them now?
No, I want, as stated in my letter. As stated in my letter, that
Do you want us to go ahead and unmerge them now?
no.
No.
So the other
Let's
option
wait.
is not to unmerge.
We need to read the
I'm
letter.
I don't have a copy
There's
of it.
only
I
two
thought I
options,
stated
to
from last
merge or
week,
not
I
to
don't.
merge.
To merge or not to merge.
That's the only, and if you don't want us to vote, that's fine, we can wait till you hear back from Julie.
Yeah, I need to know that I can do what I want to do with that piece of
Yeah.
land
Yeah.
before I unmerge it.
And then let us know then, and we'll vote.
So you'll
on that.
get back to us.
Yeah.
Okay,
Fine,
all right,
Yep.
perfect.
that's
Sounds
fine.
good. All righty.
Okay, I don't know what, I'm just asking about the water committee schedule. Are we gonna, who's,
I don't even know who's.
who's on, are we gonna have, coming into budget season, are we gonna have the water committee gonna meet and talk about meters or anything at all?
Have we heard anything back?
I say the,
We got some drafts and he's working, in fact, we get an update, it's not a full report, but on the meters, I can't remember.
on the
Ref, tell us.
Water and sewer rap,
From Raptellus.
water and sewer tap fees is what he was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
give us a draft on.
Yeah.
Do we have,
We haven't had a draft, but we got
Right.
emails that should have probably gone to the water committee on his thinking on what our current system versus,
Meters,
yeah, I forwarded
got
that.
voted down.
I mean, that's from like a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I read that. And I think that the follow-up for that was we were waiting for water and sewer tap fee analysis from him. We could
I'm
have,
not
a-
sure he's gonna give you, I don't know. I get the sense he just was pointing out that as far as an analysis, he was just saying the pros and cons of that system. I think that's as far as he's, I think, but I don't know. I think that's as far as he's going.
So we're not gonna get a,
There's winners and losers in that system, and that's, he was pointing that out. That's,
Well, the water committee was waiting for the Raptellus report prior to coming up with whether to vote on meters or not. And we have the draft. We don't have the final.
yeah, I
When?
don't know what to meet
I
about.
don't know what to ask him. I gotta know what to ask him.
When are we gonna have their final draft, their final
Well, I think
complete report?
it was close, but then I'm not sure he's gonna give numbers and, in other words, there's systems all over the country.
Right,
Both have winners and losers.
right.
And the system we have, if we go to a metered system, to summarize,
Mhm.
the way I read it was, in a metered system, there are gonna be more losers than winners. The winners are gonna be large businesses and businesses, for the most, and I'm summarizing. The
And
losers will be
the winners
folks-
are gonna be a lot of the second homes,
second homes
the
will be
larger
winners,
second homes, the more expensive second
Right.
homes.
and the
And
losers will
that's
be
why
the.
we hired
Right.
Raptellus to
But that he's telling
figure
Right, and that's
that
what
out.
he
He's
is,
telling
that
you-
is the result
he's
of
telling you the
the
answer.
thing.
The answer is, the person on a metered water system, pick one, Roger.
Well, if you do it this way, yes, but he sat here and told us there are ways around it with a large community, a large second homeowner community. There are ways to do it, so it makes it fair to the
I'll
local
double check.
residents, and that's why you're paying me all this money to figure that out for you. Without meters, we cease to qualify for all these grants and
And he's
free
saying,
money
I mean, I think
without
he's
water
saying,
meters.
he's
All right,
saying the answer
That's
is,
why we
do this.
hired them.
Let's have a discussion on the water report as a separate agenda item some other week.
Great.
And we're all gonna read what the water report says.
Great.
and I
And
will
not
press,
have,
so you
a
want me to
summary.
press for numbers? I guess
Not
that's what you're asking.
necessarily for numbers, a system, a fair and equitable
he
system.
did
for
present a fair and
Yes.
equitable system for metering. The question we got back to him was that we were supposed to include the water and sewer tap fee, just a review of the structure of water and sewer tap fees.
My sense was,
Because when he sat here, he said that we could retain that or get rid of it, but retaining it would be a good idea. In other words, don't have the meters completely replace the water and sewer tap fee, to keep that in place and have water usage rates
Correct.
as a second water revenue, not get rid of them. And we asked him to look at that more judging fairness, from his experience, what he thought of our current fee structure. And that was what that's what I thought we were waiting for before we got to a water committee meeting.
Exactly.
Because,
Which we
the
do have
results
to
of that
have
water,
pretty
the results
quick.
of that water meter, I mean, when, Butch says is what winners and losers, no matter what the rate structure is, there's gonna be a sense of unfairness or imbalance to some group of taxpayers or
Right.
homeowners.
I'll try to reword, I'll try to tell him, I want him to zero in. Okay, so I think I got it, so,
All right,
okay, got it?
Clear as mud.
Okay. Also, my last thing is the Smith litigation is coming up in August. Tammy, I think you said you'd be willing to, it's gonna be remote, Zoom. So we'll probably set up here and the attorneys from everywhere will be all over the place, so, okay.
Yep.
I sent you the date, I think it's the 26th at 10 in the
Oh, I think
morning.
I put it in my phone already, actually. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
That's all I have for today.
all right. Couple of other things. Last week, we adopted that short-term rental and we adopted the form that we're gonna fill out.
Mhm.
I just want to talk about how logistically that's going to work and with responsibilities as far as putting that on the website, putting it in the next tax bill, the notices in the next tax bill. When forms are filled out and either turned in physically or done online, what employee takes that like to a filing system or online database or whatever? Who collects the money? Who sends out the bill next year? That kind of stuff. And I'm not looking for answers tonight, but at least we need to start this discussion because we're gonna start getting people registering and employees are gonna be looking at each other like, is that, you gonna do that or am I gonna do that? So
So staff they're running around in circles in there,
Yeah.
all like doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, so, we're still trying to figure it out.
Okay.
It's gonna work, yeah, so,
all right,
we're still trying to figure it out. So
We-
we
we
won't solve
have-
it tonight, but we're trying to figure it out.
we have a job posting out there.
Depending on the person, I'm hoping that will be one of the 32 bullet points that their job will encompass. So
132, you said?
32, but it's like, yeah, so.
I mean, this, in my
There's a
mind,
big-
this
I
is,
think once it's going, but
right,
there's a whole, we thought it was simple, but there's gonna be money coming in and it's gotta go through Jonna, and so, she's a one-person shop in there and she's freaking out over,
Right.
how am I gonna deal with this? Because there'll be a surge. There already is. We're already getting calls like, hey, we wanna comply. We've got 22 units here at this place and we wanna get them registered, so we're working on it. And hopefully I can fill that seat, then that will just be the come to. We're trying to do as much online. If we can get, it's gonna require probably the institution of a credit card system on us, on the town hall side. Right now, it's just,
Right.
but in the short term, we could go through the tax collector's office, who's already cleared to accept money through, online and ship it to different accounts. But yeah, it's coming down the pipe quick. We're trying
It is,
to
okay.
figure it out.
Hopefully that new
Yeah.
employee, this is a job that's gonna be a lot of work
It is.
in year one.
Yeah.
Following years,
Not so much.
not so much.
So that's where we're at on that right now. So
All right.
it's definitely on everybody's radar.
One of the things tonight, do you have anything in non-public regarding applicants for that position, prospects for that position?
Yep, I can give you a quick update
Update?
on that.
All right.
Yep.
Any word back regarding a place to do the fireworks?
We meet, Cheryl Reardon and I meet with Jay Scambio tomorrow. So I'll let
Okay,
you know
so we'll
next
wait next week for that. Any update on Forest Gardens as far as a stormwater management?
No,
Plan.
that's, they're being notified that they need a SWIP, so they gotta go through the state for a stormwater management SWIP, so they're being notified that, may have been notified today, actually.
Okay. All right, and then there was a letter in here regarding the PSNH. Was this just left in my folder? Or
Yes.
That's just an
I didn't
update on
see
the
it.
settlement, is that the,
Yeah, I already responded to Chris Bolt on that. I had a conversation with him,
okay,
and we talked about that.
I saw it
It
on.
was when you were on vacation,
okay, I didn't know, so.
Yeah, you did.
so we're up to date on
Yeah,
that.
on
Yeah,
that, yeah.
All right. Then I think there was a note in here from a Jamie Osgood.
And I had a phone call from her too, and those notes that you have are
Yeah,
in response to her phone call about being upset about the trash on, in her situation, it was on the sides of Route 3 between where she lives and down Clark's. She apparently lives up your way somewhere and then has lived here all her life, and, you know, I didn't know if the town could pick it up, and I said, that's Route 3, number one, but two,
Yeah.
we can't have, I don't have public works employees enough to pick up everybody. She was very, very nice. She understood. It's just like, it's the phenomenon we're going through is people are just throwing trash everywhere. I photographed a mask and gloves over in front of Riverwalk today when I was walking down the stores. I didn't have gloves with me, so I didn't pick them up, but people just even them out. So it's everywhere.
well, she had some suggestions. I don't know, you guys both got these, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, she's encouraging for the parking to be, and it looks like this is every water, but to be New Hampshire residents only, or some sort of permit sticker. So we've already talked about that.
Her thought on the New Hampshire cars only, it was easy to enforce. She's seen it in other places she's lived where it was just a state, and all you have to do is, if it's a New Hampshire car, it's allowed there. I said I wasn't sure that would fly, but it makes it easier for a PD to drive by and see a New Hampshire plate versus 3 to 1 out of state.
Mhm.
So she makes a good point, but I don't know if it would be something that would work here or not.
According to what we just talked about, no, considering the water is open to everybody, the water itself, it's the access to it. Unless we privatize that.
But your private land, you're allowed to do that, you just can't.
Right.
You can't say nobody can cross it. So if people walk in from 112, so we can control the parking, but they can walk from 112 through our parking lot to get to the
So
road.
even our parking lot is not private, it's public. Okay, but other people can have private act and cut off people from walking
People like
through
the
to get
condos
water.
can control
Yeah,
their
they
private,
can do
yeah.
it.
All right, did you have anything you wanted to bring up?
See, real quickly, masks. I was thinking about that and kind of watching the spike go up a little bit with COVID and the amount of people that we have here. Did we do anything with the chamber? I thought were you going to call the chamber regarding putting up the signs or getting those signs or having us buy the signs and kind of talking to the businesses about actually doing
Yeah,
that?
they sent out a thing of, saying that
And we printed some,
these are signs. I don't think they did that. They were available at the town hall.
Yeah.
And
no, we've got no requests that I'm aware of
okay.
That's too
from
bad.
businesses.
Is
We
it-
make them.
I'll ask her to, she sends out a thing every week. I'll ask her to do it that the
Yeah.
actual physical paper signs are available
I
at the
think
town
it's
hall.
becoming more important
Real at
Okay.
town hall and
because more
online,
people,
they can request
Yeah,
a
and they can
digital
print them
copy.
themselves. We'll give them the picture.
Yeah.
everybody has a mask nowadays.
Yeah.
It's a little scary for so many people in one area and then going places.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Did
Thank
you
you.
have anything?
You covered what I had on my list.
All right, then I'll open up for public participation. Roger,
How about up on the pine? I missed that last meeting that they had on it. Did they give them a permit to make the ditches or
yes,
if they did, when is the deadline? Are they gonna have them done at a certain time or what?
the goal was to start as soon as they could get their permitting and have them done before winter is their goal. far as an official deadline, we did talk about that, and I can't remember if it was, I think it was 12 months we had to give them. But their goal is to get it done by the end of November. And they want to start like immediately, as soon as they can get,
This other
company
commit
that-
on the place he's working now, is that stopped that operation, or are they still paddling around?
that's what I had asked about. It looks like they were told today that they get a SWIP, which is a permit from the state to disrupt land. Okay, exactly. The permit is to tell the state how
Are
they're
they
gonna
still
control.
working there now, though?
I don't know if that, said we don't know if that could deliver today. So until it gets delivered to them, it's en route from the state. The SWIFT is a state mandate.
Because if we get we haven't had any rain at all to speak of. If we get any good rain, it's gonna make a mess. Because they got a lot of open gravel and mud.
So, well, we've,
I'll have to check with Carol, but I think it went out today. I
Okay.
think,
It would-
but I'll double check.
the mandate to get the SWIFT went out today from the state.
Can I address the board in regards to LeBrec Street, the lots at the end of LeBrec?
Oh, sure.
I have 5 sets of copies. Can you tell me who would get copies of what I brought in?
We had the
The 3?
three board of
Do
selectmen.
you want a set?
It's on there, Jeff.
This is Renee, by the way.
You can, okay,
I told her she was gonna be on
okay,
TV.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Peter Marlowe. I'm here with Renee Darling. I'm here to clarify my intentions and the misinformation regarding the property at the end of LeBrec Street. I reached out to OJ Robinson, and he suggested maybe I come in and just speak on my behalf and explain everything that's going on over there. I would like to establish a plan that's not at this board, but at some direction of me to move forward based on the Town of Lincoln ordinance and the state RSA 674-71-73. The package you have is a timeline of what I have done so far in the project. I'm not looking for forgiveness. I've asked permission for everything I've done to date, and I have the permits for it. Okay? Number one, and I'll just go through them quick. If you want to stop me on anything that gets through, as it goes through, I'll stop and answer any questions at all. Number one is the original lots that I purchased. There were two 15,000 square foot lots. They were called Lot 29 and Lot 30. Item number two is just a picture of the land, because there was some discussion on what trees I could take down and what trees, and I wanted to save the trees. So all the small saplings, I did get permission from the town manager and the fire chief when we met, and they helped me guide me to on what I could do. Plus, there were some trees in there that were totally hollowed out, so those have been removed.
Is this what's left? Is that what you're saying?
What's that?
Is this what's left? Is that what you're saying?
That's what it looked like when I get in there. Yep. Number three is an email thread asking for clarification on the land before I purchased it. Like you had in your discussion earlier today, I was worried some towns, when you buy two lots together off somebody who's owned them for a long time, those two lots automatically become one. So we finally did get clarification from Carol that the lots would not be merged, and that they would qualify for two duplex homes, one duplex home each on each lot. So I could have at that point just built two duplexes there. Number 4, just for your own information, is a copy of the deed. Number 5 is, it was not an official, it was a conceptual applicant. I had read in your zoning ordinance that they have cluster zoning. So I came in front of the board just to find out information on what direction I could go in. And the cluster zoning is allowed in a lot of towns, but it wasn't a direction that the board said I could go in. But during the day, Renee and I drove up early and we stayed at our place over at the lodge at Lincoln Station. I came in to see Carol to ask if she needed anything else for me to come in front of the board. And while we were talking, I pulled out the zoning ordinance, and she explained to me, and I did not know this, that if the lots were divided into 3 10,000 square foot lots, I could then build 3 single-family homes, main structures, and I could build, at the time, an accessory unit on each lot to go with that single-family home. So I said, that's interesting. So then we go on to so I meet with the board, we go through everything, and at the end of the meeting, in the minutes, I suggest I'll probably have them subdivided. There is a copy number 6, and this was under the cluster. This was the small home design that I had originally drafted up just to see what the feelings were in town. I did not know your ordinances. Okay, that building at the time was 16 by 32 with a small porch off to the side. Number 7 shows the 3 lots subdivided by Steve Tower of Tower and Saborn. And Nate Hathaway had reached out to me because I needed to extend the water and sewer, and I wanted to make sure I could be done. And Nate asked if I would give the town an easement for a turnaround for their loader, because the loader has to go all the way up the end of the road and then back down. And I guess they use a loader to take care of those dead-end streets. And I agreed to give the town an easement. And I wanted to work with them. It was easy.
They take it in.
Okay.
So has this been done, are they now 3 lots, or is it still just?
It's
2
3 lots. It is now
3 lots.
officially
Okay.
3 lots.
Thank you.
My planning board actually, at the meeting of the planning board on October 9th, number 8, that was approved.
Okay.
Okay, there's a lot of questions in there, and I'm open to questions, but there's a lot of other questions in there about Airbnb, about rentals, and I can go into all of that. Number 9, number 9 was my individual plot plans. I had to meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. And Steve Tower suggested I hire a civil engineer to do this because of the disturbed area, 50% in the town. She did all the paperwork, designed all of these, and we hit 38, 39, and 41% disturbed. We didn't come anywhere near the 50% we're allowed. That was number 9. On April 3rd, number 10, I submitted my plans electronically. And I have to just talk about the thread there. What happened is this COVID thing hit, all right? And I was extremely concerned. I have a shop where my men work. We build cabinets, and we do other work outside, and we build. And I was nervous about losing and letting the men go because they wanted to work. They're not the type of guys that want to sit home. So I reached out to Carol and asked her if I could submit the plan with that. And number 10 is the plan I submitted, okay? That is a total of, I think I even wrote it on the top. It's only 761 square feet, the plan itself.
So there would be 2 of these on each.
And that's what I put in for, 2 on each lot, okay? So number 11, her answer to me was they look identical, and I said they are. I said, one's a main structure and one's an, I didn't know they had to be different. And she suggested to me, why don't you just build a regular house? And so I sort of had to define regular and put one of these in the back or some vice versa. But I was denied. And so I reached out to Butch. I reached out just to try to get a little clarification. So a really strange thing happened. I had asked Carol earlier, do I need to go back in front of the planning board? And I didn't get the answer. Now, this is a little bit comical. So it was just a denial. I knew I could have a direction to go forward without going back in front of the zoning board of appeals. So I said, can I call you so we could talk? Now, this is during the COVID. She had some personal issues. I get an immediate answer, no. But it had nothing to do with, can I call you? But it was a no. But it was no to the planning board. And I took it as, no, I can't talk to you. So being a little bit frustrated, since I am a taxpayer in town on multiple properties, I reached out to the chief, fire chief, and I said, I gotta talk to somebody. This really is an easy fix. And so now as I prepare this, I look back and the no was really not, she wouldn't talk to me. So the chief said, I think he made a call to Carol, and I'll go through that right now. On April 29th, yes, it was in the morning, I received a call from Carol. And I said, Carol, I'd like to keep things moving along. She still had a problem with the fact that they were identical looking, even though each was only 768 square feet. So I agreed I could build the main structure with a shed out back, so I could get all my site work done at once, not to disturb the landscaping, as I landscape as I build. And if anybody's been down the road, you can already see how I landscape. I don't buy little tiny trees from Home Depot. I put in mature firs, pine trees, and Renee and I do it together with the help of one of my laborers. So at that point, Carol agreed, okay, that would be okay. So number 13 is an email I sent to Butch. I said, I just want to reach out to you and say thank you. Carol called me this morning and everything seems to be cleared up for me to go forward. Also, Chief Beard has been a tremendous help throughout the process. You have a good guy there. And he got back to me and said, you're welcome, good luck. So I went forward.
Forward with what?
Forward with changing the design that we wanted, which is the next number 14.
Okay.
Number 14, McCord Engineering redesigned the plot plan as the agreement with Carol, and I submitted my plans for application on May 13th. With no reply, I reached out again on May 19th. Again, no reply. Then on May 27th, that's when Chief Beard reached out to me on my site. He drove over and said he was going to see what he could do to move the permits along. There was some issues and they were trying to get them done.
So this is,
That's the new plot plans.
so how many?
There's 3 lots.
3 lot, how many, do you have 6 sheds?
I have 3 sheds
Three sheds,
and
yeah.
3 main structures.
He's allowed to have a shed. Shed has no utilities.
I don't know.
So he's
I don't know
allowed-
the
he's-
density
yeah,
of
he-
it, so.
So I received my permits on June 3rd, 2020 for my main building structure along with the shed for each lot. On July 16th, I submitted my redesign. So these are my permits. You have a copy of
I don't
those.
see, is the shed on here separately?
It's on the plot plan.
On number 14,
It's on
Right,
14.
but on
14?
15 on the permit, it says for a single family home, it doesn't say anything about a shed, do you need the?
It
permit
was
for the shed
submitted
as
with the
well?
shed on this plot plan. I since do have my permits back to build the shed and the,
Okay,
so what I did was she said they have to be, she'd like to see it smaller and redesigned. So number 16, I redesigned down to a very small footprint of 491 square feet. There's a living room, kitchen, bedroom, and a bathroom. There is a loft up above that'll probably be about 160 square feet, depending on what the pitch of the roof will be.
How tall is this building?
So I submitted those.
How tall is it?
Pardon me?
How high in the air does it go?
It's below the eave standard of the town. I think the town is 25.
35.
35.
Yeah, we're well below that.
But you don't know for sure.
These designs, and I want to be upfront about this, these designs, I'm trying to utilize the trees that are over there. So that shed section in the middle, it's 16 by 8. That holds a set of stairs to get up. It holds my utilities, a water tank, and it holds a washer and dryer. So that's why the shed is that particular size. So
The shed isn't in these, the last one, is the shed.
that's the one, yeah.
That's the shed?
That's the one I want, that's the one I'm submitting for the accessory unit to be used on the shed. In other words, the ordinance says you have to have a storage unit or a garage. The shed is the storage unit.
This is the shed?
That would be the
This
shed.
is a single family house.
After the shed, it's an accessory building.
I'm confused.
Yeah. I am
So
too.
what is the main, this is not the main
The
building?
main one is the first one you looked at.
The new one is-
So you got water and electricity into that? I didn't.
I'm allowed, in other words, you have to bring, I don't have them in the building.
If you're gonna have a washer and dryer in there,
That's the plan for this one. But that's the size to receive it if I get
that's the
the,
one you're gonna go to the ZBA with.
yes, the small
All
one.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one I would have to go in front of the
Oh, I thought you were
ZBA.
just- Okay, yeah,
So right now, it's just a foundation
Yeah.
with a shed.
okay. So that picture would be. if
So
it
it's
goes
not
to
a
ZBA.
shed, though, it's a single family.
Right now, it's a shed. It's a shed. I
Your
have to,
intention is to build a single family home on top of it.
an accessory
With
structure.
ZBA approval.
Oh, with ZBA approval.
It has to be.
Oh, gotcha.
unless it's attached.
To this, which is this one, the main,
If this one is attached to this one,
that one, okay.
I don't have to go in front of the ZBA. But that's not my intention. I want a good project.
This one.
I have a reputation of building excellent and well-maintained.
So this is also a shed with a house above it?
Yes,
Yeah, so he's basically built a parking,
Yeah.
he's gonna park under.
the
it,
parking underneath
I
because
love
of
the
the snow.
design. It's
Parking
just,
underneath which
it's not a
saves
house for the
space.
shed, it's two
Yeah.
houses.
Don't leave it alone.
It's the,
Gotcha. Okay,
so he has, the key is, I don't wanna interject,
No.
but
no,
you
that's fine.
know, the key is, is that to take this to the next level, he's gotta come back to the ZBA, which has their own. You know, he
Set of
understands that.
rules and things. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's pretty structured, but they have to meet requirements.
Okay, so I ran, and they gave me a stop work order, which is number 17. I since have my building permit back because the first one said I did construction without obtaining a permit. I have permits, but there was one little zilch. I am not used to what the town uses for the energy conservation. You have to submit it to the state. We've always used something called res check. But this is the one they wanted filled out. In fact, the one the town is using, and I sent an email to everybody, is outdated. They changed that form. So we resubmitted the form. I brought it in last Friday, or Thursday. And then on Monday, I spoke to the chief, if anything had happened with it. And the town manager came out and said, you're all set. They gave me my permits back. But I have to go for my accessory dwelling unit to be detached. I have to go in front of the zoning board. This is the part that I did not know. I can build, the very last page that I gave you is the state law. Detached accessory units are allowed to single-family homes in the state of New Hampshire, okay? It's the detached part of it that I didn't realize was a special exemption. These are very small units, okay? What my intent was to build a main structure, the main structure's small. Renee and I will be in one. My partner Dave and his wife are gonna be in lot, I'm gonna be in C. I want the triangle lot near the snowmobile, because we're avid snowmobilers. Lot B is owned by David, and the back unit would be for his kids. I have three children. I have 2 grandchildren. I don't want them in the same building as me. Let them go up the back. And that was the plan. We're all skiers. We're all avid snowmobilers. When they asked me about renting them, my original plan was, because we live at the lodge, I see a lot of instructors that need places for a 6-month period. And that's what I sort of thought of. I didn't think of the daily or weekend thing. I thought more of doing it,
Long-term rental,
yeah, a little long-term, but probably half a year.
so it's gonna be each in your family, and then you got a long-term.
Yeah.
rental, and they move on.
Right. So that would be lot, say, A.
Yep.
There's A, B, and C.
Yep.
But we may decide that, I don't want to, I want to get along in the town. We sort of plan on retiring here, and even though I'm 66, I'm not ready. She wants me to, but I'm not ready. This is a great little town. I've been coming up here. I ran a ski club out of a vocational school back in the 80s. Great little place to be. And then I decided to buy up here at the Lincoln Station, and we haven't missed a beat. We enjoy it. In fact, we've been here for 10 weeks now. We haven't been back home, so we like it a lot. But the biggest one that's important is the RSA. The RSA allows for a attached accessory dwelling unit in the state of New Hampshire. I could be wrong. I'm not a lawyer. I don't have a lawyer's, tag, but it does allow. But it's not going to be as nice a project if it's attached. These units in the back are small. And I just wanted to put my cards on the table, and I'll answer any questions from anybody in the room on what I'm doing. I did bring Carol talked about the back building has to be subordinate to the main structure. And it is subordinate. I've only put in 1 sewer line, which goes to the first building, and I did continue it as I told them I was going to do, so I wouldn't have to disturb all the landscaping afterwards. So I have 1 sewer line for each lot. I have 1 water line that goes into the first one, and it's stubbed outside the other shed area for future if I get approved. So I did it. I own my own equipment. We did all the work. I also have, your zoning says that small accessory units are allowed because you need low to moderate income housing in the town of Lincoln. Every realtor I talk to, everybody I talk to says there's no residential rentals available in the town. I talked to Jay over at Palomino Real Estate, and he said to me, Peter, he says, I have people come in every single weekend looking for a permanent residence, rentals,
Long-term rental.
long-term, and there aren't any. And I don't mind doing that if you get the right people, you interview people, and that's what I do for a living. But I want to do the project right. I'll go in front of any board you want me to. I want to do a good job. I'm going to live there. I want it to look fantastic. So that's why I thought I'd bring all this in and just explain myself. But I'll answer any questions that anybody has.
Have you been scheduled to go in front of the ZBA yet?
I have not. I wanted to reach out first and just clear the air and find out what direction I have to go. I've been in front of the planning board, but I have that list, the mailing list, but they'll have to make a new one anyways. But Carol did teach me how to do that the first time.
Sure,
She taught me how to do it
Yeah.
through the computer.
the abutters list.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
sure.
in other towns, you have to have them do it, but she did show me how to do it. So I'm willing to do anything I have to do, but I do have my permits right now, so at least I can keep going. The biggest thing up here is winter comes really fast. So I'm trying to get my underground in and get my structures up before winter comes.
Good enough.
Yeah.
Why do you have 6 electrical outlets out there, meters?
Because if you were gonna rent, if the town is looking for low to moderate income
Not in
properties.
residential areas.
Huh?
Not in residential,
Yes, they are.
in residential areas?
Oh, that's what the accessory units are.
That's where, yeah.
And why would you want to pay somebody's electric in this day and age? Even though these units are all built, the walls are an R24, the ceilings are an R58, and the base is an R40. They're made out of SIPs. which is a structural integrated panel.
So you're building 3 homes?
Yes,
correct?
yes,
Just 3?
3.
6?
But I'd like to build 3 and then 3 accessory units.
And that's the ones he's gotta come to the ZBA.
Right.
to get approved.
If they're detached.
If they're detached.
If they're detached.
Correct.
If they're connected, I don't have to go in front of the ZBA.
Room for them? The 3?
The way he's designed it, if he attaches them, there's room.
And I don't want to do that. I want,
He could have built 3 duplexes.
I could have done 2 duplexes
2 duplexes.
on the two 15,000 square foot lots. I could have built 2, and I say this because anybody would do this. They would build 2 4-bedroom duplexes each side. So you'd have 16 bedrooms of people. You can imagine what that would be for traffic and kids and you know what goes on the other side. That's not what I was looking to do. I've put my cards on the table. I've been up front and asked for permission every step of the way. I don't want to get anybody upset. I want to continue to stay in the town and do things here.
I don't have to drive down there now.
No, you're welcome down, yeah. Go look at the landscaping. It looks amazing.
Well, the living.
Yeah.
So,
He has a path. I think he just wanted to.
yeah, and I'm glad you came before us because, you know, I was part of the planning board process that.
Oh, I
got-
thought so.
Yeah, that got us to this point. And that's why I couldn't go meet with you, because I sit on that board, and if you come back before us, I'm not supposed to be out meeting with you on the side to.
No, I'm not asking for that. That was suggested to me by 2 people,
Right, but the public forum is.
and I don't have a problem.
is the better way to do that. But I do remember that during the planning board process, especially at the conceptual, the whole idea of a commercial lodging enterprise being located in the middle of the residential zone was brought up and was a pretty serious concern.
I definitely understand that.
Okay?
Yep.
And you gotta say, when you look at this, that's what it looks like.
It does look
looks like
like
this
that.
is six or maybe 1 house with 5 Airbnb units.
Yeah.
I should say, short-term rental units.
Yeah.
Squished into a neighborhood that is residential. And you know.
But I'm telling you, that's not my intention.
You just said it was.
No, no,
Go ahead.
not short term.
It's long-term, but still, it's a residential area. There's a lot squished into one area.
But he's saying it's long-term.
Long-term is residential and should be in residential areas.
That's what your zoning ordinance says.
Right.
Zoning does permit.
Well, Jane, you need to either speak to everybody.
I did.
Okay,
I
then
just said it.
I
said
didn't
what I
hear
said.
you. I did not hear you, and I'm
Sorry,
sitting
I'll
the
look at
closest to
yours.
you. No, speak to the microphone. Just so, I mean,
It's a lot to be, and I think 6 is a lot in density in that little area.
But it's allowed.
Too bad.
What?
It's sad.
Oh. Then what you need to do is, I've had this discussion, you need to change,
Yeah, we do.
something.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna override the state.
Right.
correct. But again, this was all talked about in that conceptual
Yep.
meeting, and we did talk about the fact that it would need, if it was a detached auxiliary dwelling, that it would need to be on a garage or shed.
Exactly.
according to our- All right?
Yeah.
And that shed needed to be, or garage, or whatever the, a pertinent building needed
Right.
to be primarily serving the main house on the property.
And it is.
So, I mean, I guess that's your case to go before the
Yeah.
ZBA and see if they agree with that. But I mean, in my eyes, from the beginning, from the conceptual, this whole idea of putting a 5-unit motel in the middle of a residential
Yeah.
thing was a concern of the board.
Yeah.
And the problem is, regardless of your intentions.
Yeah.
Okay,
It looks that way.
the unit, the use goes with the land.
Yeah.
So you sit here and we're all fine with this, right? Well, I should say, if we're all fine with this, right?
Yeah.
You go out and sell that property next year, is the use, if that use has been authorized and they start renting out that same unit that you say your brother's gonna live in or your friend or whatever it
Yeah.
is, and they start renting it out for 1 or 2 nights at a time, those units are already built. It's not about you, it's about the use of the
I
land.
know.
And that's where, and I shouldn't even say we, that's where the planning board has to look at the long-term decision, effects of the decision that they make regarding it.
And I understand that.
So,
And we had this discussion.
Yeah.
And
We did.
because it is specific intent and purpose of allowing accessory apartments in the town of Lincoln on one-family properties to provide the opportunity and development for small rental housing units designed in particular to meet the specific housing needs of low and moderate income couples, single persons, both young and old, to help to achieve this goal, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
This is your zoning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not being arrogant
Yeah.
about it at all. I just want some direction. I'll go one way or we can go the other way, but I'd like it to be.
I think
well,
we're-
again,
I think
that's
we're
not
headed
gonna
in a
come.
good
No,
But
it's
again,
not. I
we're-
just wanted to clear the
We're
air.
happy to hear
That's
what
all.
what you're doing. We're happy to hear that.
No, I think he's on a good track and he has a plan. I think
Right.
he's gonna come to the
Yeah,
ZBA.
absolutely.
So,
The cease and desist has ended. You're going forward with the
Yeah.
approved plan.
Right, and like my partner David and his wife, they said, let's get the main structures, let's get them, let's get them done for November so we can ski.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do right now. If the other one is for next year, that's fine. But it's what we want to do. Now, in the same sense, if I take lot A and I say to you, these are only small units.
Right.
This could be a big single-family home there. These are small. They're only really one bedroom, okay? Now, if I was to market that, say one of the lots, to recoup some of my money, right now I have over 250,000 invested in what I've done there. But if I was to sell one lot and recoup it, it's a heck of a marketing tool for some grandfather or some guy that wants to buy one with his sister or someone that wants to buy one. It's just unique. It's different. And it's up in the air. It's not just your average, colonial.
Mhm.
So I try to do things different. I just wanted to express myself, that's all.
This was helpful and
Yeah.
it's good to put this out into
And
the
it's
public
being
domain.
Zoom, so the town,
Yeah,
there's a lot of people watching. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I wanted to be clear, I'll take, I've talked to some of the neighbors. I will take questions from anybody. I know they're all up in arms after they saw it. I'll meet with anybody. I'll set up more copies. I'll sit down with them. I'll go over whatever we have to do. But the bottom line is this here. I never knew about this till I came to the town
Did Peter see this?
on what the options were.
it's long, so yeah.
Maybe looking back, I should have just built a duplex.
Well, I'm glad you came in.
It doesn't fit,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want these
Yeah,
back
I
for the
don't have this
ZBA?
exact one. If you're gonna be talking to people.
Okay, I'll take 'em.
I've got just about everything you've done.
I'm gonna keep a copy just.
That's fine.
for
That's
official
fine.
record of the
Yep,
meeting. Okay.
that's fine. And Butch and Carol both have my phone number. If anybody needs to call me for any other questions, I'll be open. I answer my phone all the time.
Thank you.
Oh, I made some notes on these. I give you that.
You want to keep your set?
Um,
It's all right.
sure,
Right.
sure, let me do that.
This too, thank you.
Miles raised his hand earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry. Miles, did you want to say something?
Yeah, Miles Moran here, resident Lincoln. I am trying to understand, I know the property, and in my mind, it was always a single-family home and maybe had an extra lot. If you had two 30,000 lots, two 15,000 square foot lots to start with, I thought our RSA was 22,000 square feet for a duplex. And number one. And number two, I'm curious as to how it got divided into three 10,000 square foot lots. I mean, I didn't go to any of the planning board stuff, but I have those questions. And then I did drive up to the end of the road today, and I stood from LeBrec Street and I looked into the property, and I visibly see 6 foundations, I can't tell how many water and sewer connections there are, but I didn't want to go on to the property. And yes, he's correct. They are very small buildings. I don't think the foundations are more than, I don't know, can't be more than 300-400 square feet. And if you're putting all of these people basically on one 30,000 square foot lot, I mean, what's the complete density here? In a residential neighborhood at the end of a dead end street, it just seems like this is something that's morphed from one thing to another. So those were my couple of questions here, and I'm sure there's a lot more when I sit down, pencil to paper. That's it for me.
You want me to answer those?
It was vetted through the planning board.
Yeah, it did go through
Yeah.
it did go through the planning board, Miles. And what is approved right now is one single family house on each lot with a shed.
So
And-
3 single-family homes on 10,000 square foot lots with a detached shed, correct?
Correct.
Yes,
Has this been
Okay.
to the planning board again, or did you just go from Carol?
No, we went to the planning.
the planning board approved the subdivision of 3 lots.
Right.
The building permit issued by the town allowed the 3 single-family homes, because that's allowed.
So does he have to go through the planning board again if he's presenting something different?
No, he's not presenting anything different.
If he wants
If he
to,
goes,
if he wants to present something different than what was approved, then he needs to go before the planning board. But in his case, he actually needs to go before the ZBA because it would need a special exception
Special exception for detached.
for the detached,
portion.
for a second unit on each property.
It was vetted through the attorneys, and so he's good to today.
He's good to build one single-family house and a
On each
shed
lot.
on each lot.
Yeah.
Oh, 3.
3 lots, yes.
Okay, then my question is each shed, so you've got a single-family home.
Yep.
And you've got a detached shed. Is the shed going to be a living unit? Sounds to me like it is.
No.
Not until after the ZBA approves it.
That's, as of right now, he's approved to build a shed, which is not a living structure, non-habitable shed.
Okay. So those 6 foundations, 3 of those foundations are for sheds. Those are fancy shed foundations. But that's up to him. That's fine.
Right.
He
Hey,
agrees.
they've all,
The frost is
and
very
then I
deep
would
up here at
also
Lincoln.
suggest, I would also suggest that the board schedule an on-site, no one seems to know what's down there. I think the board needs to schedule an on-site visit to go down physically together and walk the property with the explanation of the owners exactly what's going on before things are backfilled.
I've been down there.
Well,
I've been on property.
First of all, it's the planning board would be the one that, I mean, the zoning board would be the one if there was any site visit for his application to do something different than what was approved.
Right.
Okay.
I'm not sure this
Well,
board,
what was approved and what I see already, there's already a discrepancy, I think. But we'll let him explain that. I guess that's, because I think this is going to be a project that we're going to see that's going to morph. And he's already spoken to about, well, what if I sell off one lot to recover my investment? And, you know, I can see it already. But,
Jose, I have,
go ahead, Paul.
Paul?
I was also part of the planning board with this, and I believe that the reason that we allowed the 10,000 square foot homes was because there was only gonna, a loss was because there was only gonna be one home on each lot and a garage. Had there been a portrayal of having either an attached or a detached, I believe the planning board might have looked at it a little bit differently. So I think there has been some change made between what's this gentleman's talking about tonight and what was represented to the planning board. I certainly would have, had I known that there was going to be either an attached or a detached accessory apartment, the 10,000 square foot lot consideration might have weighed a little differently. I mean, this all truly started because of the concerns, I think, of the surrounding abutters, and I would hope that they are given as much time to voice their concerns as well. So that's my only comment.
Okay, at this point, I think we've had the discussion, because this is really a ZBA issue. This
Yes.
is brought to us to inform us of what he has done so far and what he's looking to do with the ZBA, and it's really up to that board. You know, we shouldn't even weigh in on.
No, I
you know, we
understand.
think it's good
I
because
just
it's
wanted
bad,
to
it's
clear
a
the air.
ZBA issue.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in and
Yes.
telling us what.
Thank you.
what
Yeah.
the
Very
next
important.
step is.
Appreciate-
Whoa.
Paul's got another question, Armando. Yeah.
OJ, I'd like to know why you think it's a ZBA issue if it's being constructed differently than what was approved.
What was submitted?
Than what was submitted. And with regards to what the abutters thought was going on. So I'm very disturbed that the town has taken back the cease and desist order without knowing exactly what the applicant intent is as of today, because he has apparently a permit. Now, this permit is for a house and a shed. And he's portraying tonight that he's going to go to the planning board, ZBA, to try and represent something differently.
He's not
He
trying
has to construct it.
He's not trying to represent something different. He's gonna go ask for a change from what was granted in the building permit. Is that?
Well, by state, what the state law is. I'm asking for a change.
Look,
It's not here.
Look.
This is-
Yeah, it's,
if you've got water and sewer stubbed off to the
Paul, this is not a planning board issue. We're aware of what the building permit says. He's gonna go to the ZBA to get a special exemption if he gets it. If he doesn't get it, it's not this board that makes the decision. Your comments would be more relevant to.
Can I ask?
Does he sit on the CBA?
Does
Oh,
he,
my-
do you- Paul, do you
my
sit on the
question-
ZBA? Paul, do you sit on the ZBA?
Yes, I'm not going to sit on the ZBA during this one because I've been on the planning board and commented. So my comments here are just purely with the planning board. And I'd like to ask the applicant, do you have water and sewer stubbed off to each of the foundations?
I have it stubbed up to, not in the foundations.
But they are over to the foundations.
They're 5 feet. Plumbing, sewer and water have to be 5 feet away from any foundation, because it's plumbing after that. That's where they are, yes. I was upfront about that.
I understand that.
We're gonna move on.
Look,
Thanks for
look.
presenting
Thank
it
you.
to us. All
Thank
right.
you. I appreciate you coming in. It was very
Okay.
informative. Thank you.
All right.
Folks, I'm not done with the board. How can you do this? Why are you guys chickening out like this? This is terrible.
Thanks, Paul.
I'm not chicken on
This
it.
is
We're not
terrible.
sure- No, we've heard his thing. The next step is.
We don't have any say,
The
Paul.
ZBA.
You have- You guys cut people off when things get tough, you know, and
We are
that's not
choosing
right.
to not make a ZBA decision because we are not the ZBA.
We're not the
That's our
planning board.
choice. Thank you.
You're the ones who put the cease and desist, and you're the ones who lifted it. That's the point. You're the ones who put the cease and desist, and you're the ones that lifted it. My bone is with you.
I didn't
You
live.
should not have lifted the cease and desist.
Town.
I'm sorry. You are the ones who put the cease and desist on.
Correct.
It should have stayed there, correct, and that should have stayed there until such time as this gentleman, this applicant, told you exactly what he was gonna do. And the fact that there's water and sewer to each one of those, within 5 feet of each one of those, he only asked for 3 house lots for water and sewer to 6. Come on. What did I tell you? You guys can't figure that out? I'm not trying to be disrespectful. What I'm trying to say is, this thing is not what was represented to be, and I think until you figure out what it's going to be, the cease and desist should be on. Should be no more building until you figure out what it's going to be, whether he goes to the ZBA or whether he goes back to the planning board. However it goes, but the cease and desist should stay on until such time as he determines exactly, shows exactly to the town what he's going to have and what kind of approval he's going to have. And by you guys releasing that, you're doing a disservice to the town.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Did you know
Is there
about-
any,
Did you know about the cease and desist? That it got It's not, no
I
longer.
learned it tonight.
Okay, me too.
Mike and Carol, Mike O'Connor, Carol Riley on Zoom, do you have any public comment?
Miles, did you want to say something?
I do have a question here, and
Yeah.
I would like to know, when I came to this meeting tonight, I was under the understanding that that property was under a cease and desist. And what I hear tonight is that it sounds to me like he can go back in there and complete basically 3 single-family homes with these accessory units.
No.
No, just
No.
the 3
No,
single family homes.
Miles, if you want to come in and look at what was approved, we have it here. It's 3 single-family houses and a shed with no living, no habitable space, just a shed. Okay? That's what was approved, and that's all he can build.
So, okay, well then, I think if someone went over there and looked around, they'd see that the guys run water and sewer, I think, to every foundation. And what is he, so why are we, isn't that an issue?
It was an issue, and we spoke about that, and I think all parties are aware that he's building 3 single-family houses and a shed, and that water and sewer has stopped 5 feet out from that, and that if he wants to make it habitable, he needs to go to the ZBA.
If not, it's-
How can we put a cease and desist on someone who's building what was approved?
Right.
Okay, if he now extends the water and sewer and starts building bathrooms inside that shed, that would become another cease and desist, but that's not what he's doing.
Well, it sounds to me like he pleaded some sort of hardship to get the positive sway of the board to convince them to let him somehow subdivide this thing into 3 smaller properties that are barely lot requirement size for just a single family dwelling.
Miles, I just want you to know it is not the select board. I didn't even know that it was discontinued. So I just want to let you know that.
Well, this is why I think
have any
I'm
say
sitting
in
here
it.
going, this guy is so far off base, he should be going back to the planning board first to explain himself. And then if he needs to come to the ZBA, come to us.
So, all right, thank you, Mike.
All right. That's my comment.
Okay, one last thing. The cease and desist was for plumbing and electrical violations on that site.
Yeah.
He'd run the inside, initially
Yeah,
he'd run the
just drank some
pipes.
water.
In the state of New Hampshire, fire marshal's office was called in, and the project was shut down until a licensed plumber and electrician got on site and corrected it. So that's what the cease and desist was for. Nothing to do with planning board, so make that clear. So when we rescinded the cease and desist, all of the violations under Chief Beard supervision and the state fire marshal went down there, all the plumbing and electrical violations were corrected. The man has spent money running pipes and wires on his property. I don't think we can limit that. And they're 5 feet short of the building. So until they become plumbing issues or electrical issues in the building, so he's absolutely, albeit a little too fancy, more fancy than I'd ever be for a shed. That's his prerogative. So with all due respect, the only thing that cease and desist for was his electrical and plumbing violations. Everything else was approved by the planning board, and he was proceeding. So to insinuate anything else, it was nice theatrics, but I'm not buying it, okay? So it's got to go back to the ZBA if he wants to continue any further. If he doesn't get it, he's wasted God knows how much money he's put in the ground. It'll remain there forever, okay? That's his choice, not the town of Lincoln. So I've said my piece. So.
Thank you.
All right.
So
Hold on, Paul, is there any other public discussion? Either of the chiefs is there anything you need to update us on? Warren, Jack, no? Oh, I don't know how long we're gonna just keep talking about this. You've heard what we've said.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
When the applicant paid his water and sewer tap fees, has he done that? And if he did, how many did he pay for?
He paid, I don't even know what he paid, but all that the town could do was, it was what was on the building permit.
So he paid, my question is, if he paid for 3 water and sewer tap fees and there's 6 water and sewer things going out to, ties going out to these other foundations, doesn't that strike you as a little odd?
Okay, is there any other discussion? We're gonna go into non-public to discuss the
Personnel issue?
personnel issue. And
Thank you for coming.
thank you,
very
everyone.
much.
Thank you.